Is Ashes of Creation collapsing? The PR for it currently is not looking good.
So with the recent roadmap announcement, there is something people are focused on overshadowing the positives that were shown. So I want to get the controversy out the way first so we can focus on what matters. Farming copium and converting that to ad revenue to fuel my pizza addiction. But before we
I approve that.
get into that, sit back, relax, and grab yourself a Kilpa Cola, because $120 to test a game that quite literally doesn't exist is our subject
Absolutely worth it. 100% best investment in anyone's life. Do not let anyone fool you.
of focus today, being covered by basically all the creators not huffing Steven's farts. So let's discuss this, because I'm not quite sure why this is suddenly riling everyone's feathers. Ashes of Creation has been a cesspit of money-grabbing FOMO since day one. Now,
I mean, that's pretty true.
with all that bollocks out of the way, let's begin, shall we? So, with the recent announcement of Alpha 2 keys returning at the colossal price of $120, $110, and $100 for their respective phases, which
I absolutely love the fact that it's only a $10 difference. Dude, even EA would make the difference at least $20, okay? Even EA would do at least that much.
by the way, for clarification's sake, as I see a lot of people confused about this,
Jesus, by the way, look at this. Gain access in November 2024, December 2024, May 1st, 2025? I'll be dead by that point. Why would I ever waste only $100?
if you buy one phase, you do gain access to all future phases, as well as the beta phases, as confirmed by Steven on Reddit recently. But I digress.
So kind.
A lot of interesting takes have been coming out from various outraged content creators.
I think that it's very obviously capitalizing on FOMO.
It's wild that we will be paying this sort of
So I'm in front, wait a minute, bam. There you can see the outrage.
money to test someone's game for them.
Now that is quite high. Let's just call a spade a spade. It's quite a lot just for an Alpha 2.
I've never seen a testing
Oh, and now I'm in the wrong position again? What the hell?
period phase sale as bad as this. Never.
Interesting takes, guys, but allow me to introduce you to 7 months ago, when the price
The $200 pack, what was it? Yeah. People missed out on that one. What can I say?
for these keys were actually pushed with a bunch of vaporware FOMO cosmetics for $250, and nobody
Oh, I'm sorry. $250. How could I be so wrong?
bats an eyelid. FOMO, for those of you who don't know,
Yeah, I don't understand why no one bat. Well, people did bat an eyelid because it was really strange. I batted an eyelid because, as a business, that made no goddamn sense. Because it's not the fact that people didn't buy the $250 keys. People gobbled them up like there was no tomorrow and demanded seconds. Okay? That's how it went. But the company decided, okay, we don't want to pay too much in server maintenance, so we're going to stop selling the 250 buckaroo kios. And how does that make any sense? $250 and people demand more and you stop selling them because, oh, the server cost is gonna... Does that 250 cover the server costs and a lot more, by the way? It was such a strange decision that made absolutely no sense.
means fear of missing out. A very common and exploitative tactic used by the gaming industry and real-life retailers alike. It preys on natural human psychology to create false scarcity that drives you to make a purchase you might not have made for fear of, yes, you've guessed it, missing out on exclusive items.
Wow.
Prior to Alpha 1, access to the game was being sold for $500. Also jacked up by a shitload of cosmetics that don't exist, and I've been stirring up a stink
Wow.
about this practice ever since back then. I simply do not agree with Ashes of Creation's monetization methods, and that's why I've never used any of their pyramid scheme style referral codes, and I will continue to never use them.
Wait a minute, pyramid scheme type referral codes? Huh. Didn't know about that one.
But just take the bag, bro, otherwise someone else will. Take what bag? You only get benefits when the game actually launches, and I'll be grave dust in my coffin by the time that happens. But Steven and his team have always claimed that they don't need our money, that the game is already fully funded by his
Yeah, that seems a bit sus also.
infinite bank of holding, and that you should not purchase these keys.
The bottom
Then why sell them?
line is I am committed to this project's success and completion. And that means that when it comes to funding for the additional years that perhaps were not planned for, that's coming out of mine and John's pocket.
But then he'll gush in the very same live stream about how amazing this world boss is, how impressive these story arcs are, and how the game is starting to feel really great.
Well, to be fair, I would wish that this was true and accurate and whatnot, because that's good. I want to play Ashes of Creation. I want to stab you when you least expect it. Ah, it's gonna be great.
Guys, but that is just standard exploitative FOMO tactics. Here's the problem with these.
God, I love standard exploitative FOMO tactics. If there's one thing that gets me wet in my ovulation cycle on rhythm, oh, it's exactly that.
Keys and why people don't agree with it. Intrepid changed the whole meaning of what this Alpha 2 was supposed to be and what they spent 8 years selling it as. People who spent the money were expecting the Alpha 2 launch to be a fully persistent game as stated by themselves in their Kickstarter. And I quote, Alpha 2 phase is planned as a persistent testing phase of the game. This means access to the testing servers will remain open and available until launch.
Ooh.
You can't just change the meaning of that 2
I mean, things change. What can I say?
months before the launch, slap a $120 price tag on it, and think everyone is going to be okay with it.
I think
We're
our
ready.
Alpha 2 has over 100,000 people that have purchased into it, so it's a pretty significant testing event.
Yeah,
And
we
that's-
were
and
originally.
Okay. Listen, do the math here. 100,000 times 100. How much is that? 10 million! That's a decent amount of pocket change.
Obviously that explodes.
30,000.
I know.
And now it's.
Obviously that explodes when we get closer to Alpha 2 testing.
Is the 100,000 testers you had back in January 2023 not enough
Oh, wait. January. That means it was the $500 package, which means, well, I mean, that's a lot of money.
testers for you to get proper feedback? What other developer has had the privilege of having over 100,000 testers to ensure their systems are presentable to the public? We're right off the back of massive Kickstarter scams like Chronicles of Valeria, Dreamworld, and Camelot Unchained. So it's paramount that Ashes of Creation avoids the same tropes these games went through or risk being labeled the same as them, regardless of how good the game looks or how impressive their team is. A good game alone isn't enough to succeed in this age of social media. Large content creators can literally tear your game down at the whiff of some blood money. Your public perception matters a lot. Instead of learning from mistakes,
Okay, that's not true, obviously. Hey, if I come out and say that oxygen is deadly for you, not a lot of people are gonna buy into that, and most people are just gonna call me stupid and even more insane than they previously assumed. So it's not like one content creator can just make a video and everyone's just gonna gobble that up, okay? We have moved past that. We as gamers are untrusty of anything and everything. In fact, just give us a reason to not trust something and I'll be on that train.
and growing as a company, like I'm trying to help them understand through various videos, they choose to bury their head in the sand and pretend everything is okay. Everything is not okay, but it's okay to admit that. In every single one of my videos addressing community concerns, I explicitly state that we still support Intrepid and we hope that they take our concerns and learn from them, like they promised they would these last 3 years. Nobody is asking Intrepid for dates on this roadmap. Nobody asked you, Steven,
I am. Where are the dates, Steven?
to drop a quarter announcement last year. Nobody put a gun to your head and asked you to do this like some people are claiming.
Because I think there was a gun to their head, and it was a lot of community people.
I think sometimes Intrepid Studios, or maybe just Steven, forgets
That was not himself.
the audience that he's trying to appeal to. The jaded MMO veterans who are desperate for a good MMO, and the younger audiences who have heard the amazing stories of how good an MMO can be. Is it really surprising that people who have spent the last 20 years being screwed over again and again and again by corporate are acting defensive and
Listen, okay, if you're getting screwed 20 years in a row by the gaming industry, I don't know how to break it down for you, but maybe you're an extremely moronic individual who doesn't honestly deserve to breathe the same air as the rest of us, because my god, are you stupid? And there are no excuses, okay? Sure, the game industry is not all fine and dandy, obviously. We know, everyone knows, but there are plenty of good stuff in the game industry that you can play and enjoy, okay? If you find one bad apple, that doesn't mean the whole batch is spoiled. In the game industry, sadly, it's like, well, the first 10 apples were spoiled, but that doesn't mean everyone is spoiled, okay? And you can't get screwed for 20 years straight without that being a literal you issue.
hostile when you're hell-bent on using deceptive marketing practices and avoiding the truth, because that's all we want. The truth.
I want a comforting lie that makes me feel warm inside. Thank you very much. Fuck the truth. The truth is annoying.
Think that Steven and the team could have done such a better job by just saying, guys, listen, running this shit's expensive. It's taken longer than we've expected. Inflation is high. We're low on money. We're charging $120 for the alpha.
You can't start preaching to content creators.
As always, Asmongold is literally giving us the most stupidest answer ever, because if Ashes of Creation came out and said that, people would be instantaneously asking, wait a minute, didn't you just like make 10 mil or something like that? Where the fuck is the money, Steven? Where is it? It would be an absolute bloodbath if they said that, oh yeah, in 1 year we burned 100k, 10 mil, and yeah, we kind of did nothing with that one, boys. Oopsie doopsie, how about you buy another key for $100? That would be the worst outcome ever. Obviously, they're not gonna say that, because that would pretty much completely destroy Ashes of Creation in the eyes of people who don't have two brain cells working overtime to create a semi-lucid thought.
And your so-called wholesome fan base to defend your bad decisions when you're terrified to tell us the state of the game. These problems that are arising right now, this huge explosion of controversy, are the exact things that I was trying to preach in my video. The exact things that I knew were coming if Intrepid continued to ignore outstanding concerns from the community. And don't get me wrong, right? Obviously, game development is difficult, and Ashes of Creation is an incredibly ambitious game, but you can't expect people to care when you've tried to milk them with Kickstarter packs you claimed would have the game released by 2020.
Listen. It worked for Star Citizen. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't work here.
A monetized battle royale with a battle pass containing cosmetics that don't even exist in your game anymore, so you had to make refunds, a $500 Alpha 1 testing phase that you claimed helped development but now seemingly has no relevance to the current Alpha 2 due to nothing actually existing from that phase, followed by 3 years of selling FOMO $250 access to a test we still can't play, then presenting a $120 Alpha 2 key that has nothing else attached to it except the promise of an unplayable, bug-ridden alpha test that cannot be criticized after 8 years because it is, after all, only an alpha. Can you really not see why there's a backlash?
Listen, I'll criticize even something that doesn't exist, okay? Just give me the option, Chief. I'm in, I'm stacked, I'm locked in, baby.
Here, consequences to your actions is what normal people call it. Ultimately, I just want the game to be good. And if this Alpha 2 ends up being 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, guess what? I'm still
at the end when I'm 50, have grandchildren and whatnot. Yeah, being optimistic here, I know. I hope Ashes of Creation is a good game, so I can throw all that away. You know, the family and whatnot, just play it and be happy.
we're going to be here giving Intrepid Studios feedback, preaching against these scummy monetization practices, and working my ass off 18 hours a day trying to pay my rent, making videos for a game that quite literally doesn't exist because I am just one nerd, desperate for a good MMO. And I'd have hoped the audience I've grown over the last 4 years, built off the back of Ashes of Creation, would be enough to help Intrepid see how many people like me there really are. I simply cannot support the monetization methods chosen to fund this game, and I've said this for the last 4 years, but I will continue to root for the team at...
Okay, very cool, Narc. 10 out of 10. Anyway, that was Narc. Wait, there's Asmongold here. Anyway, who cares? Have a nice day. Bye.